BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. So, welcome to this 50 minutes of experience. Today I'm with Jessica King. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure for me. So if you can introduce a bit of yourself, who you are, where you come from, and also how did you approach the photography, then we can go a bit more inside together.
Yeah, so I'm originally from the US. I grew up in a really small town in southern Missouri. And during college is where I actually discovered fine art. So I enrolled as an accounting major, and during my first year, I signed up for a figure drawing elective, and this is where I really kind of fell into the world of art. So I immediately switched my accounting degree to a fine arts degree in photography and graphic design, and yeah, I graduated with a BFA in fine arts, and I had a full ride scholarship to study photography. However, yeah, at the time that I finished my bachelor's, the US economy wasn't so great. It was shortly after 9/11. There weren't any art jobs. I was a bit scared, if I would ever be able to find work in the art field. So I went back and I studied finance. To make a long story short, I moved to Germany. I'm currently living in Berlin now, and still working in finance. And right before the lockdown, I always felt like when I gave up photography and switched careers, that a small part of me died, and I just let it stay away. So I was always, throughout all of these years, I was always trying to figure out how can I get back into photography, and I felt so distant from it. I wasn't sure how to do it. And right before the pandemic hit and the lockdown, I thought, okay, I'll go out and get a camera and try to revisit that or explore photography again. And so this is how I got back into photography.
Yeah, that's nice, interesting, and yeah, it's interesting that you're in Berlin, so we can also meet one day and shoot together a bit.
Yes.
And yeah, making collaboration or else. And it's really nice your work in Berlin, because it's in a way totally different from others. I cannot really recognize Berlin in your picture, and it's nice for me because you have a different point of view of other people, and it's not something really common in Berlin. I mean, it's really easy to find Berlin in the picture of
Yes.
other people. And watching your picture, I was thinking, yeah, I know this place, but yeah, I was not so fast, recognizing it's Berlin, because there are many places. I mean, yeah, for sure, if I see the picture of the U-Bahn, I can recognize. But and there are just details of places, chairs, cars, or building or nature, and this is making a way special the work. And in a way, remember me also a work of some Japanese photographer, and that's also interesting because it has touch more soft and impartial in a way. And today I wanted to talk with you that you mentioned in the description that you are working on a magazine or a design, a book about architects in Berlin, and I would love to know more about that. And then after that, we can just talk a bit some of moment you shoot some photography probably, but yeah, I'm interested in this part of design.
Yeah, so during the lockdown, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to focus my photography on, because studying fine art, I always felt like I needed to have a specific style, or there needed to be some kind of meaning behind it. So in the beginning, I was just trying to bring back all of my photography skills. And then I switched to film. Originally I bought a digital camera, and then I immediately, shortly after, switched to film. And that really seemed to helped me to explore more things creatively because it slows you down. You really have to think about it. You only have so many shots that you can take pictures of. And I love not knowing if the picture is going to turn out as you had planned. So during this time, I was trying to think about what I wanted to focus on. And there were certain parts of Berlin that I was really attracted to. And like, for example, some of the U-Bahn stations or some of the buildings here in Berlin. The main one that I was drawn to is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's just right outside of Berlin towards Wannsee and Potsdam. There's this place called Dry Linden. It used to be a checkpoint. And it's this beautiful, like poppy kind of pink and yellow and bluish building. And I looked up this building because I wanted to know more about the history of the checkpoint and then also who the architect was. And then when doing research, I discovered that the architect was a German architect named Rainer Rümmler. And come to find out, he's designed a lot of the U-Bahn stations, a lot of the stations on the U8, the U9, and so on. And he also has different buildings throughout Berlin, mainly public buildings like police stations and fire stations. So I thought it would be interesting to do a zine on his work, because when I started to go to some of these areas, as you know, since you live in Berlin, a lot of the U-Bahns are under construction. Like one of them by my house that he had designed was Mehringdamm. And it's no longer his style anymore because it's now been remodeled. So I really wanted to document all of his works. There's over 60 locations that I'm trying to photograph. I'm probably 80% through. Yeah, and so this is where I'm at. I'm hoping to complete the photo book by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. But there's obviously a lot of content to go through, and I need to figure out how I want to present all of the images, since there are so many locations and they're vastly different.
All the content is made from you, or are you searching for also other vision?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I mean, do you do the pictures by yourself? All the content inside are made by yourself, or are you researching also to catch vision from others?
No, so they're all by myself. I really don't even plan when I set to go out. Like, for example, over the weekend, I started at Rathaus Spandau and then worked my way down on the U-Bahn stations. So the only thing I do is look. If it was one of the stations he designed, I load up my medium format camera and my tripod and my FFP2 mask, and I just go into each station and I just start photographing based on what I see. And it's quite nice because they're still empty, so there's not a lot of people, and you can really take your time to, capture what you want.
Yeah, I can understand the feeling. And usually, what attracts you to take in your footage? What kind of things come up to your vision?
I'm really attracted to, well, especially when we're talking about Rainer Rümmler's work. It's lots of colors. It's very poppy. There's a vintage feel to it in some cases, and it's like nowhere else that you really see in other stations. Some of the buildings that he's done are also very peculiar, and so I'm really interested in things that are different. And I really like messing around with light. I like shooting in dark. Yeah, it's odd. Like, I love taking this tripod with me. It's like a love-hate relationship because you have to extend the legs, set up the camera. But I really like working with a tripod and yeah, trying to photograph different situations that aren't so easy to capture sometimes.
So for you, it's photography is more something you have to take time with, no?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So that's really interesting because it's for sure for me, I don't know, it's a lot of time now. I don't spend a lot of minutes or hours to take just one footage. But yeah, I have this medium format now, and I have a roll inside that I uploaded just some 1 week ago. And in a way, I totally understand that now I need more time and a tripod to take this roll, or will be really something a mess or totally blur. Because it's totally, everything is manual and it's difficult to manage. But I'm really curious to develop in that way probably something else, because in a way it pushed me out also to doing a different work. And yeah, I'm really curious. I will be really curious to see you working on one of the shoot you're doing, because it's a totally different approach that I have.
Yeah.
And what did I wanted to ask you also? There are many footage of structures, object. Most of the subject you have in your picture are not material subject.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm curious to know which is your connection also with the human, or with the animal. I mean, it's a form of life. They are in movement. If you usually shoot them, I mean, I ask you that because what we show in our portfolios is always what we want to say about us, no, in a way, also the way we want to sell us. So then I'm curious to know if you also do it to portray something or someone in your private life.
Yeah, probably I don't. It's interesting because my photography has restrictions, because in Germany, as you know, you can't take pictures of people unless if you have their permission. So I feel like I'm a bit limited in how I photograph things or the objects I take pictures of, versus, you know, if I were in another country where I wouldn't have those restrictions, because then maybe my photography would have gone in a different route. I still feel like I'm very much in this discovery phase of what I want to do. When I studied fine art, I was very much into history. So I was very influenced by David Leventhal, for example, who photographed scenes of, it was really like American culture, like cowboys, these little cowboys and Indian figurines or train sets or whatever. And I really like, still, I'm very much interested in setting up a scene. And I haven't quite figured out how to do it yet, but it's all, I guess, a work in progress. So I'm constantly, I feel like photography is almost like a second job for me in a way, in the amount of hours that I spend on it. You know, every weekend I'm out taking pictures, I'm developing film, or I'm scanning film. And yeah, I just really like the beginning and end process to the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure, is an activity. It's more than a hobby. I think is a job. It's
Yeah.
to be there, to analyze your pictures, to make the pictures, to develop them, and then to understand in which way to present or not, or to select in the archive is really an amount of time you cannot count. And in a way, I think it's also a way to really research ourselves in, and yeah, it can be also a form of therapy. Some people say that. I'm not really believing that, but I think is what the action is inside. This can be a form of caring of yourself, for sure. And yeah, the point about the people in Berlin, I'm like, for me, every country is the same. Also, if it's not allowed that I push up that, so then I mean, in a way or another, there are some law you can always come up with, kind of you are doing research of heritage of the place or stuff like that. You can use it if you have any problem, but trust me, I never heard anyone had a problem with that. I mean, probably you can have a problem when you really are a piece of shit and doing something really cruel. But
I find when I'm in the U-Bahn, interesting enough, on the street, I think people are more comfortable. But in the U-Bahn, I've had people who have tried to grab my camera to put the lens in a different direction of them, even though I wasn't taking their photo. So I find people to be a little bit more aggressive towards photographers underground for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it also depends on the camera. You know, if I'm out on the street and I have my Rolleiflex, people are very interested in how that camera looks. So it's almost like they want me to take their picture. I've had people who have like, can you please take our picture with that camera? So it's really different on the equipment as well and how people respond to it.
Yeah, for sure. It's for sure. We have also to understand that, especially Berlin, not only Germany, but Berlin in general, it's as this past of DDR, and it's quite touched from the history and from the control from the stars, but yeah, it's really stupid in a way because when you go in urban, there are at least in one wagon, I don't know, probably 15 cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always funny for me that everyone watches at me with the camera, but no one watches the cameras as around every day, And even sometimes I say to someone told me, did you shoot a camera? Did you shoot a picture to me? Did you shoot a picture? I said, man, look, there are fucking probably 20 cameras around you and you're looking at me. They shoot every day something about you. Even probably someone as camera is directing the house of someone else.
Yeah. I think it's the tripod that they find more threatening. Maybe I don't know what it is, but that's the only difference that I can think of. When I'm underground, I have the tripod set up. Sometimes I've gone with a ladder, just to get a different angle, and then the security guards are wanting to know what I'm doing. So I think it depends also on whatever my props are that I'm taking with me to take the picture. It draws more attention, and then
I can say, look, I more than 20 years ago, there was an object, was a kind of a objective, a lens you could put in front of your lens. And I was totally in this stuff I wanted to buy. Then when I wanted to buy, there was out of market, and I never found any more in my life. There was this website was called like Blue Photo, something like that, A Photo. I don't remember now at all. Really old stuff, but I have the images in front of me, and that was kind of objective, really long, with 3 mirror inside. So you was looking inside of the camera somewhere, but he was shooting. He was making this joke with the mirror that he was looking on the right side.
Okay,
so he was pointing in a way, but he was taking a picture on the right.
Yeah.
And I was always attracted to that because in a way, you could do it kind of a portrait, really natural to the people. I don't imagine when you stop in the traffic light, you stay there pointing in front of you and then you're shooting a picture to the people that are close to you. But I don't know if they made any more, if they put it out of market because probably was illegal. I don't know. But it was really a genius object, I think.
Yeah. I mean, now with the digital cameras, you can have your camera on your side and control it with your phone. So that's like another way.
Yeah.
But, I prefer to shoot film. So.
Yeah, I usually do it. If I have to do it picture really in front of people, I use the phone. I have to say. For me, it's really easy. Even if you are, you act like you are playing a game, but you're shooting a picture in front of someone.
Yeah.
And no one understands anything when you do it like that. And in a way, it's also funny because sometimes you are able to catch some picture really funny.
Yeah.
But it's always a risk because if they catch you, it's then a bit more cruel because when you have a camera, you can justify your photographer, but when you do it with your phone, they catch you as you are a pervert,
Yeah.
something like, and then that's more difficult.
Exactly.
But it's like that. So I thank you a lot for your talk, and it was nice to hear about that. And I will look forward to see the design and also to meet you in Berlin.
Yeah.
And for anyone want to support or see the work of Jessica, they will find the link in the description if you want to send a vocal message. will be the link in the last part of the description. Thank you a lot for your time again.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Learn more about our project at allmylinks.com/BerlinExplorer or visit our Instagram and follow BerlinExplorer project.